and re.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
Maintaining our health, particularly our heart health, is very important to us as a family.
Your heart gives you time with family, time with community, time to pass down what matters. Protecting your heart helps keep those moments alive. A visit with a healthcare provider can be one step toward a healthier future. Learn more at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats. Your heart health is essential because your heart beats for generations.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 69, then Thursday, cloudy with a high of 85. Farmer's Kitchen and Bar brings the flavors of the harvest to downtown Minneapolis, featuring selections like locally sourced poultry and wild rice meatballs. Farmer's Kitchen and Bar is located on 2nd Street next to the Guthrie Theater. Check them out at farmerskitchenandbar.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, this episode is presented in partnership with the city of Minneapolis for Minneapolis AIR, American Indian Relations, who hosts a monthly conversation on the second Wednesday of the month regarding happenings that impact our Native community in Minneapolis. And we're so grateful to have this partnership and to keep up to date on topics that can better support our largest urban Indian population in the country. I want to hand this over to our guest host, Christine McDonald. Thank you, Christine, and take it away.
Thank you, Robert. So, Buju, Ogadaki, Gabuik, Nindijnaka, Zajijak Nudundem. My name is Christine McDonald, and I'm the American Indian Community Specialist for the City of Minneapolis, and I am your host for Minneapolis AIR. Joining us tonight is the Metro Transit Police Department, where we'll hear how they are keeping riders and communities safe. We are joined by the Chief of the Metro Transit Police Department, Joe Dotseth, and Officer Chaunte Boatman-Ford. Welcome. I'm happy you guys could be here today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you each tell us a bit about yourself and what you do? Let's start with Chief.
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I'm Dotseth. I'm the chief of police at Metro Transit. This is my 25th year in law enforcement. 22 of those years have been here at Metro Transit. So I really have a really good understanding of what it means to, be a transit police officer and how the transit police really impact public safety in our communities. On top of that, a lot of people don't know this. I was actually born in Minneapolis, born before North Memorial, or not North Memorial, but East Shamsi, the previous name for that. I always forget what the name is. I was born there and then spent the first couple of years of my life in North Minneapolis and then moved to northern Minnesota. And then I came back to the city after college and then started at Metro Transit in 2004. Actually was hired for when the Blue Line started. So, and just in my experiences here at Metro Transit, this year I was named the permanent chief. I served as the interim chief for about 18 months prior to that, but I really held about every role at this organization too. I was the first transit police chief that was hired as a police officer and worked my way up through the ranks here. So definitely have a lot of experience in understanding that too. And I think for me, like I worked in our communities, right? Like I was a transit officer responding to calls for service and then worked my way up as a sergeant. And then I was an internal affairs investigator under Chief Harrington when he was the transit police chief and served as a lieutenant and a captain before being named chief. So that's a little bit about me.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
But Officer Ford's got a much better story. So like I'm excited hearing about her.
Yes. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Officer Ford, but I prefer to be called Chaunte. So a little bit about my career is I didn't grow up thinking I wanted to be a police officer. I really say that this profession chose me. I was working at a coffee shop and I got to know those officers, and one of them invited me on a ride along and I just absolutely fell in love with it. So 13 years later, I'm here at Metro Transit. This is my third agency. And so I started off as a community service officer for the city of St. Louis Park. And then I was hired on there and spent about, 9 years there. And so I served in many different roles, school resource officer, negotiator, crisis negotiator. And I patrolled the same district most of my career. Then I went over, I took a little break from law enforcement. I did need a break. I came to Metro Transit Police Department as a civilian employee, where I supervised the community service officers and did community engagement. So I was here for about 8 months, and then my license was still active. So I went over to the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office, where I did community engagement for a few years there. And then I got the opportunity to come back to Metro Transit as a police officer. So as of June, I am here now, and so happy to be here and back in the community.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you in the community. Let's go to our next question is, Metro Transit Police Department is very different than other police forces. Can you explain some of those differences as well as like who do you serve?
Well, I think when we say that we're different, we're so community based, right? And I say this all the time. When you think about what transit policing is at its core, it's some of the purest form of policing. And what I mean by that is that we're in community. We certainly, you'll see transit police officers in, police cars. We do drive around, but the majority of our time is in community. And we've really gotten back to our roots with what we call beat policing, right? And I know Officer Ford is going to talk about that in her current assignment, but our beat model of policing, right? It's this traditional style of policing where officers are assigned to a certain geographical area and they build relationships with community. So when you think about what transit police are doing, that's what we're doing. We're building relationships with community. And I talk about this all the time. Like there's 3 areas, really culture drivers that we talk about this organization. One is our whole community approach to public safety, right? That's our belief that the police alone can't solve all the problems when it comes to public safety. That's us working with our partners, our community leaders, right? Social services providers. We'll talk about our homeless action team, I'm sure, and all the great work they do. But that's important, right? Because it's not just the police that provide safety. And, our primary function, while it's the transit system, we wind up policing transit stops. We wind up policing areas in the community. We help we're at whatever jurisdiction we're in, there'll be Minneapolis, St. Paul, or in some of our sub agencies, we're helping those agencies as well. But like the whole community approach to public safety is important, right? It's what our safety security action plan is based upon as well. And then this policing as a service mindset. And if you follow us on social media, our PIO, Jeremy Zoss, has done such a great job with our social media. And if you go to our social media, Metro Transit Police Department, and you see the work that our officers are doing on a day-to-day basis, it's providing that service. And yes, our officers are arresting people, they're enforcing rules on the transit system, but we're also providing service every day for all kinds of reasons, right? And being there for community. And I think that's really important. And then our third culture driver is empowering our workforce. We know that we need our police officers to be happy and motivated, because if they're happy and they're motivated and they're getting the necessary tools they need, they're going to police our community better. So those three culture drivers, I think, really separate us from some of the other agencies. And we went to what we call a values-based hiring system. So we hire based upon our values, honesty, service, and respect. And we put that in our job applications. We ask that in our promotional processes. With that, those values, I would argue, is what the community wants. And everything we do is based upon honesty, service, and respect. So I think those three culture drivers and those values-based hiring models really separates us from what some of the other police departments are doing.
That's amazing. So you mentioned beat officer. Chaunte, can you tell us what a beat officer is and why it's different than traditional policing?
Yeah, so there's 4 different groups of us, and my partner and I, Officer Dulac, we are assigned to the Cedar Franklin area. So for us, it's a smaller area, which really allows us to get out into the community and get to know people. So businesses, people that live in the community, and then people also that are riding the light rail and taking our bus.
I hear music.
Yep.
Are we coming into a minute? Okay.
Yeah, we have
All right. So I know
left.
that you guys haven't really, when did you restart the beat officers? Where were the other areas that you said they are?
Really the last 2 years. So we get beat officers downtown Minneapolis. We launched a beat in Brooklyn Center, St. Paul. Really the last 2 years, we've relaunched and gone back to this beat model of policing.
That's awesome.
Hey, right on. Hey, we'll be right back. You're listening to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio. Please stay with us. Wow.
Heart health is more than just the physical well-being. It represents like a foundation of vitality, resilience, and the ability to live fully.
Your heart carries stories of resilience, love, and survival. Caring for your heart means honoring yourself and the generations before and after you. It means protecting your ability to gather, laugh, and be present. Learn more about your heart health at hennepincounty.gov/heart-beats, because your story matters and your heart beats for generations.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis Air. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis Air dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
We are your relatives.
We are your relations.
Brothers,
sisters,
sons,
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, this episode is supported by the City of Minneapolis with Minneapolis Air, American Indian Relations. Here's our guest host, Christine McDonald.
Welcome back. In tonight's conversation, we're joined by Metro Transit Police Chief Joe Dotseth and Officer Chaunte Ford. Let's get right back into our conversation. So one of the things I would like to hear a little bit more about is where and who you serve. We have a number of law enforcement agencies all across this metropolitan area. And I know sometimes people get a little confused on who has jurisdiction where and who operates and does what. I know over the years I've learned a lot of differences between like MPD and the sheriff's department, but we see you guys everywhere.
Yeah, so I mean that's one of the unique things about the transit police. Like we serve their region, right? So when you think about anywhere a bus or train goes, where there is a bus stop, that's our responsibility. And again, our main focus is the transit system, but we help our partners in these other agencies. So you'll see that a lot, especially in Minneapolis and St. Paul. That's generally where our core of our work has been. But as our lines have expanded, the Gold Line, we think about the Green Line extension, we're certainly expanding our presence out there. But, our primary focus is transit, but you're going to see transit police officers everywhere, and they're still there to help. So a transit police officer, if you see them, if you're driving down, Franklin, there's not a bus stop, but you see a transit police car, you still wave them down. They're still going to help, right? It's back to that service mindset. But our primary focus is the transit system. But the transit police officers have full, by state statute, full arrest power, just like everybody else. They get a lot like the University of Minnesota police, the airport police.
Yeah.
We're specialty use police departments where our focus is mission is a little bit more focused, but still a general law enforcement agency as well.
And you go all over, how many different cities are you in? How many different counties are you in?
All the metro counties and all the cities. I think we've said like 85 cities, all the counties, all 7 counties. But our primary work has generally been in Hennepin and Ramsey. But as Gold Line has expanded, we've certainly partnered more out in Washington County, and then thinking about Green Line extension too. So we go in again anywhere a bus or train goes. That's our jurisdiction. But primary focus again probably back inside of Hennepin and Ramsey counties.
That's a wide area. How big is your department?
Yeah, so we're authorized for 171 police officers. Right now, we're sitting at 123 officers, which is our highest number since 2021. We've really just had an amazing, rebirth of hiring, and going back to that values-based hiring, it's really helped us. And so our CSO program, which we actually, if you go to our social media posts, our CSO job application, our community service officers is really our cadet program to become a police officer. There's actually a wait list to get in. We just put that posting back up right now because we have 49 CSOs. We're authorized up to 55, and that's really our program. Last year we hired 45 people. This year alone we've already hired 40. So I'm very confident as we start thinking about into next year, next fall, that we're going to be fully staffed. And when you think about the officers that we have right now, I'm always so impressed, and I want Officer Ford to talk about the work that she's doing on the beat. But our officers, when you think about the proactive work they're doing, and our professional staff too, they are out working. So when you see our calls for service, you see our arrest numbers, that's because our officers are being proactive. They're not just sitting in their cars or just standing around. They're engaging the community. They're addressing issues before they happen. So the work that we're doing right now, and you think about all that proactive work and the staff that we have now, again, we're getting ready to hire 5 more officers at the end of this month. 5 of our CSOs that will be transitioning from CSO over to police officer in September. So I'm very confident we'll be pushing close to 141 police officers by the end of the year. And then starting to think about those 48 CSOs that'll be finishing school next year. Yeah, we should be fully staffed next year, which is awesome.
Okay, so Chaunte, can you tell us what's been the impact of having the Franklin Cedar beat so far?
Yes. So far, So I just want to say my partner and I have been out for, this is our second week, I believe. Our first shift was National Night Out. So we're still super new and
Yeah.
figuring out, how we're gonna actually do things. But from what we've been doing now is literally getting out of our car and making contacts with people. So what I mean by that is, and I should also say is I already have a lot of connections within
Yeah.
the area, Cedar Franklin, like Little Earth, at the Indian Center, and like the different tribal offices. So thankfully I've already made those connections, so it's been a little bit easier for us to just stop in and say hi to people. So we've already gone to Little Earth and hung out with the kids at the Boys and Girls Club.
Mhm.
And we attend meetings, the different public safety or MUD meetings. So we're going to be there too. And then, yeah, literally just getting out and getting to know people that live there, work there, and that are on the buses and trains.
Well, and I think too, for our priorities, back to this beat policing, we started the Franklin Cedar Beat at the beginning of the year. So while Officer Ford and Officer Dulac are recent, we just had a new bid that came out at the beginning of the month. That's why they've only been there for a short period of time. But we started the bid at the bid at the beginning of the year, and actually Officer McGriff was there. He's Sergeant McGriff right now, and then Officer Jacka is working at Brooklyn Center Beat. So we knew and we wanted to ensure that we were being good partners back to community, like truly being community policing. When we say we're community policing, that's not something we just talk about and put on a letterhead or a business card. We believe that. So we launched this Franklin Cedar Beats the first time we've ever done that in the history of this organization. And we just turned 33 years old. We were incorporated by the legislature in 1993. So it's our birthday this month. So we're still a relatively new agency, but it's important. And so as this beat expands, I think that's the important part. Like, I can't thank you enough for allowing us to be on the show. If there's stuff that community wants us to be at, like, you can reach us by social media. You can call our general number, which is 612-349-7200. There's just all kinds of ways to get a hold of us. I mean, obviously there's emergencies, you call 911 and they'll get us responding there. But like, we truly want to be in community and events and build that lasting partnership to really try to resolve problems. And we might not have all the answers to everything, but I think one thing that Officer Ford and her and Officer Dulac do, and all the beat officers do throughout the region, like, we're going to be with community through whatever problems are ahead, right? And again, we may not have all the solutions, but we're going to be there with you.
Right. I know the community is really appreciative of the presence that you have, and I think it's always interesting to learn the different pieces of a department, and I would love to hear more about the HAT team, the Homeless Action Team, what they do, where they respond, how they respond, what makes them unique, how many, just what you can tell us, how many officers work on the HAT team.
So HAT team, Homeless Action Team, started in 2018 under then Chief Harrington. Chief Harrington had this vision of having police officers addressing homelessness throughout the region and really trying to connect people to services, right? And we wanted to do something. We did a program on University Avenue last summer called the University Avenue Safe and Strong Initiative. And what that was really meant to be was us to do stuff. So the Homeless Action Team, again, back to our staffing numbers being so high and us shifting priorities, it's back full time, the first time since I believe 2020, which is a big deal. So Sergeant Maurer leads that team along with 2 full-time officers. We're going to expand that team, but having 3 full-time officers dedicated to addressing homelessness in our region, it's a big deal, right? And so they're constantly, think about the service area that we have, they're constantly in community out doing events, and working with our partners in both counties in social services. Like, all that's very important, and they really wind up being that gap. And we know, especially from working in community, like, everything's about relationships. That's why our beat officers are so important. And everybody, if people don't have Officer Ford's phone number now, they will, because we talk about the beats, like, this is a big thing. We want the community to have our beat officers' phone numbers. So yes, if you need them, call our beat officers. But like, you need to build relationships. Our homeless action team is so great at connecting to community, building long-term relationships to get people convinced to seek the services that they need. Because we can show up and send a car and hey, get these services, but if there's no connection and there's no trust between that police officer and the member of community, nothing's going to happen. And the homeless action team builds that.
Can you describe like what the vehicle actually is? Because it's an actual bus. It's an actual vehicle.
Yeah. So we got this Metro mobility bus a couple of years ago and retrofitted. We actually have another newer vehicle that's much nicer, but our officers actually like driving the older bus. So it's like an older Metro mobility bus. It says homeless action team on it. It's got our police logo on it. You'll see it out throughout the community. And that bus has really became like a beacon of hope. You'll see it out there. So if you see it out there, that means our homeless action team is out there. Please go up, talk to them, build that relationship with them. So yeah, okay, we bought a newer one that's much nicer, but community is used to the one that we have right now.
So is there anything else that you'd like our audience to know? I mean, this went by so fast. I mean, we could have keep going.
No, we could. I know, Officer Ford, what are we missing?
Well, I was just also going to say too, for the beat officers, it will be really helpful. We can be really helpful in bridging that gap for HAT as well, since we're going to be out there in the community. Our hours, our shifts are Tuesday through Friday, 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. And people are already starting to, recognize our faces. And so hopefully by that as well, people will start to feel comfortable with us, and then in turn we can get them in contact with the HAT officer. So I'm also really excited about that part. But it just another thing that I just want people to know is to come say hi to us. All of us that work our beats are great officers. I really like all of my partners, and I think they all are doing a great job out there. So feel free to stop by and say hi and introduce yourself to us.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us tonight. It was great. Great information.
Thanks, everybody.
Well, that was great. Hey, we'll be right back. You're listening to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio.
Native relatives, work requirements are coming to medical assistance, but American Indian people are exempt. If you have medical assistance, go to mn.gov/DHS/American Indian to report that you are American Indian. If you apply for medical assistance, report that you are American Indian on your application. It's that easy. Checking the box protects your health and your insurance. Again, go to mn.gov/DHS/American Indian.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
The Montessori American Indian Child Care Center is a Native-led nonprofit child care center located in Roseville. Our mission is to create access to high-quality early learning in the American Indian community and build a strong cultural foundation that prepares children and families for their K-12 education experience. Learn more and donate at maiccmn.org. That's maiccmn.org.
Culture prevents so many negative things from happening to us as individuals and as communities.
Strong roots begin with a healthy heart. For Indigenous women, heart health is part of caring for community, culture, and future generations. Even small steps can help protect what matters most. Discover ways to support your heart at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats, because your heart beats for generations.
August means the beginning of football season, and Popcorn in Minnetonka has you ready to go with their flavor of the month, beer cheese pretzel popcorn. It's Popcorn's delicious cheesy popcorn made with real cheese, salty good pretzel pieces, all covered in a beer cheese seasoning. The perfect snack for your pro and college preseason ramp-up. And get your popcorn in a tin featuring sports and military logos in either 1 or 3 gallon sizes. Visit Popcorn Store in Minnetonka or order online to ship their amazing popcorn across the USA. Go to popcorn.com. That's popcorn.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. I know no one wants to talk about this, but summer is going to be winding down already, and we're all going to be rushing to make the most of the month before State Fair time arrives. While we're trying to cram in as much of that final summer fun as we can, don't forget to stop and smell the flowers. But if you realize what you actually smell is the carpet, you gotta call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to freshen up the late summer feeling. Zero Res can take care of almost any surface in your home: carpet, tile, rugs, hardwood, upholstery, and much more. If it's been months since your last deep clean, it's time to call. Zero Res is marking the end of summer with this amazing sale. Buy 2 rooms of carpet cleaning and get 2 rooms of carpet for free, plus 20% off all air duct cleaning services. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res. With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 69, then Thursday, cloudy with a high of 85. Farmer's Kitchen and Bar brings the flavors of the harvest to downtown Minneapolis, featuring selections like locally sourced poultry and wild rice meatballs. Farmer's Kitchen and Bar is located on 2nd Street next to the Guthrie Theater. Check them out at farmerskitchenandbar.com.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, this episode is supported by the city of Minneapolis with Minneapolis Air, American Indian Relations. Here's our guest host, Christine McDonald.
Thank you. Welcome back. I'm Christine McDonald, American Indian Community Specialist with the City of Minneapolis. And joining us for the second part of the show today is Ariah Fine, who is the Program Manager for Partnership Engagement Fund. And he's going to talk to us about how the city has funded your community projects in Minneapolis. Welcome, Ariah. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Always a pleasure, Christine. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, your experiences?
Yeah, so my role, I work in the same department as Christine here in the city neighborhood and community relations. I got my start in neighborhood work just 19 years ago. I moved into the city, was raising my kids, and wanted to be involved in my community, and joined the board of my neighborhood organization. I later went on to work for the Cleveland Neighborhood Association as executive director there in North Minneapolis. And then a little while ago, I thought, hey, here's an opportunity to work at the city and the department that supports our community and neighborhood organizations, and wanted to see some, impact, one of which I'm going to talk about today, the Partnership Engagement Fund. And so took the opportunity to be a part of the department. I was lucky to join on the team with Christine.
Thank you. What is the Partnership Engagement Fund?
Yeah, great question. Let's jump into it. The Partnership Engagement Fund really came out of a recognition, as much as I talk about neighborhood organizations and really love the work that we do with neighborhood organizations. Partnership Engagement Fund came out of a recognition in 2020 when we were revamping the program that not everybody is always served through the neighborhood organizations, right? In our ideal system, everybody who's in a neighborhood has a voice and is connected to their organization, but that's not always the case. We find that new arrivals, new immigrants to our city, non-English speakers, our young people, many of our different cultural communities are not always involved in our neighborhood organizations historically. And so the Partnership Engagement Fund was a recognition that we wanted to provide direct funding to community-based organizations that were doing engagement work in their communities and be able to fund them directly. The partnership pieces that they would connect with a neighborhood organization in the city and help build, again, a bridge to residents. So some of those in the past, one I'm excited to talk about here is the Little Earth Garden. That was a partnership with EPIC, or East Phillips Improvement Coalition. And it was an investment with the Little Earth Residents Association to construct a gathering center at the Little Earth Urban Farm. And so That would be an example of the kind of project that was funded through this. We've also seen a number of projects along Lake Street, everything from community cleanups with young people to journalism programs to entrepreneurship and CPR classes with our English and Spanish speaking communities. So yeah, I'll pause there.
Can you tell us about some of the unique ways that you've created to allow people to get involved in the Partnership Engagement Fund?
Yeah, I'm happy to. One of the things that, again, I mentioned this is one of the things I was really passionate about was seeing our community-based organizations be funded. And so also I'm really excited to talk about the work that has been done through this. We recognize that the city is not always the most welcoming and the bureaucracy that exists is not always the easiest for folks who've not navigated city systems or channels. And so we did a number of things to try to make this more accessible to just your average resident who lives in community and has an idea that they'd like to see come to fruition. And so a couple of things that we've done is we do have an online written English application. But we've also said, hey, if you have a language other than English that you prefer to complete your application in, if writing is not your preferred way of sharing your idea and your work that you're doing, then we're happy to do audio or video interviews. We've taken applications in languages other than English through our community specialists, and then we've made sure that the other thing about this is that it's community reviewed, right? So obviously it's city funding, and so at the end of the day, there's city staff and the city council that approve what projects get funded. But in terms of the review process, everybody who applies has the first opportunity is to hear from community reviewers to take a look at that. So that's just average residents that live in Minneapolis that are looking at applications that are impacting their community and saying, hey, these are the kinds of solutions we think would be helpful and impactful to our community. And as I mentioned, some of those applications have come in, let's say in Spanish, and we have Spanish language reviewers that have the chance to actually review those applications in the language that they come in and then weigh in on what ones they'd like to recommend for funding. That's just some of the ways. We also do a bit to help people with technical assistance in navigating how do you become a vendor at the city? How do you navigate some of the other city process to be able to contract directly with the city, including insurance requirements and things like that.
I just think that's absolutely amazing the way that you've been creative. I mean, I don't recall any other process before you did this where we were actually accepting like applications in other languages or that we were accepting video applications. So I've always thought that was really creative and unique way to make it accessible for everyone. So this is actually, it's called the Partnership Engagement Fund. And so that partnership means, what is that? Partnering with a neighborhood organization? And what is a neighborhood organization?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, the partnership piece really is, I mean, and I think you know this and your community knows this, that like the best work is done together collaboratively with one another in community. And so partnership does mean a couple of things. One is, as you mentioned, Christine, the idea of partnering with our neighborhood network. For the past 30 years, we've been funding at the city neighborhood organizations. So no matter where you live in Minneapolis, there's a neighborhood organization, a small independent nonprofit organization that represents your community. And so we want folks to be involved in those. And as I mentioned, not everybody historically is. So an important part of this, if we're going to provide some of this funding for these small projects, that we want them to be connected with neighborhood organizations. That doesn't mean controlled by or limited to, but it does mean, hey, there's these organizations that have ongoing support from the city. We want to make sure there's a connection. So largely in an ideal situation, that looks like folks that are involved in these organizations saying, neighborhood organizations saying, hey, how can we support and partner with the work that you're already doing in community? Because we want to connect with the residents you're connecting with. We also don't limit partnerships. So as I said, the neighborhood organizations, there's 65 of them across the city. We also like to see and have seen from this partnerships that go across the organizations that we're working with, right? So each year we've funded 20 to 40 organizations over the last several years that we've been doing this. And what's been really fun to see is that it's kind of a cohort, right? They all get funding at the same time. They're working on their projects in the same year. We bring them together a couple of times to just share, support that we can provide, connections they can have with the city. And we've seen organizations cross-partner, An example is an organization that was doing engagement work with young people, doing an event at Little Earth, a youth journalism program that then was doing events kind of throughout, and they partnered and did an event at Little Earth. And that would be an example of just some folks that were in the same room together, connecting and partnering going forward.
Let's see. So what neighborhood organizations are and what they do for the city, for the community?
Yeah, good question. The neighborhood organizations are independent nonprofits, and so we provide some direction. One of the things we've done in recent years is the Equitable Engagement Fund, which is really a recognition, and this would be an example in some of the communities that not everybody is being served by each organization, but in each organization there might be different gaps, right? So we wanted each organization to say, hey, if we're going to continue funding you, we want you to look at your community, recognize where there are gaps in who's being represented, who's on the leadership, who's coming, to your events. Sometimes that's young people, sometimes that's renters, sometimes that's folks in different cultural communities, and we want you to make a plan to be intentional about how you do more engagement with those underrepresented groups in your organization. Now, each of those organizations themselves work on a wide range of things. It's one of the things I love about the work that neighborhood organizations and community-based organizations do, is it's really neighbors coming together and saying, hey, here's an issue we have, and here's how we're going to work together to solve it. So sometimes that's just activity, right? Some people want to see more youth programming. We want to see music and movies in our, in our parks, that kind of thing. Other times it looks like we want to really advocate for, development. Hey, this is what needs to happen on this corner. Here's how we're addressing some of the livability crisis, the, unhoused neighbors that we have, the drug issues that we're dealing with. Each neighborhood organization is coming together, identifying the issues that are important to them that they need to see addressed, and then advocating for their community in that way. That advocacy sometimes looks like talking to your city council member or the mayor or other representatives. Other times that looks like holding businesses or other institutions accountable to really truly serving and supporting your neighborhood. It can really range significantly. And the thing that I'll just reiterate, they're volunteer driven and they're community driven, and so in an ideal setting, they really reflect the community's needs and wants.
So neighborhoods have been around for 100 neighborhood organizations? Like, seriously, haven't they been around for like 100 years or something?
Yeah, there's some that have been around 100 years. So, like many communities, like when there is a need or an issue that comes out, there's a organizing that happens amongst residents. So I'm trying to think of, I don't know all of the different examples, but I believe it's one in the Jordan neighborhood in North Minneapolis, where I live is, they came together around saving a library, and they organized, and that became their neighborhood organization. In terms of the city funding, it's been since about 1990-91 is when the city officially started funding neighborhood organizations, and that's when the city intentionally made sure that everywhere in the city of Minneapolis there's an organization that represents you.
Okay, yeah, because I know, like, I grew up Southside Minneapolis, and I didn't even know what a neighborhood organization was until I started working in this department. So it is really, like, I think it's amazing that we have this opportunity now, where we have our different radio shows and you're able to come on and people can learn what they are now. And it's not until they're older adults before they can find out what it is and become involved.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, we'll be right back. You're listening to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio. I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
Maintaining our health, particularly our heart health, is very important to us as a family.
Your heart gives you time with family, time with community, time to pass down what matters. Protecting your heart helps keep those moments alive. A visit with a healthcare provider can be one step toward a healthier future. Learn more at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats. Your heart health is essential because your heart beats for generations.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Hey, this episode is supported by the City of Minneapolis with Minneapolis AIR, American Indian Relations. Here's our guest host, Christine McDonald. Ho-wah.
Thank you. Welcome back. I'm Christine McDonald. I'm American Indian Community Specialist for the City of Minneapolis. And joining me tonight for conversation is Ariah Fine from the Neighborhood and Community Relations Department. Welcome back, Ariah.
Thank you.
We have been talking about the Partnership Engagement Fund through the City of Minneapolis, and it was a project that allowed people to submit proposals for their ideas around projects that they wanted to implement in their neighborhood, in their community. Can you tell us what the status is of the Partnership Engagement Fund for 2027?
Yeah, I think it's an important question, and it looks like the link just got dropped. So we had just recently opened up the applications for the 2027 funding. So folks can go at the link, and we have an interest form where people just fill out a little bit about their potential project, and then you get a link to the full application that is due on September 18th. So that's what I plan on coming on the show to share tonight. Right. And so I'm still sharing it. At this point, we don't have clarification on what our next steps will be. But one thing that has changed is the mayor released the city budget this morning through an announcement. And one of the things that is being recommended is an elimination of the Partnership Engagement Fund in 2027. So that at this point means that if that goes through, and I'll mention, I can discuss a little bit about the budget process of the city. Right. But if that were to go through, then the current applications in process wouldn't be funded because we wouldn't have money for 2027. So yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about
would you so yeah, you did, like you said, today was the day that the mayor presented his budget proposal. A lot of people attended that. We as a department watched that. If you are willing, can you let us know more what that process is for the city?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is one of the things that's valuable, and I'm going to talk a little bit about neighborhoods as well, but an opportunity to be aware and share your perspective on the city's budget, right? A budget is in some sense a moral document. It says kind of where our values are. The city's budget has needs to be reduced in some ways, and so the mayor is making a decision. The budget just came out today. After that, there is what's called a tax levy, and essentially just a recommendation to raise the taxes in the city of Minneapolis. That goes before the Board of Estimation and Taxation in September. That's the first sort of official step. And then normal process is that there is some discussion, there is some city council meetings that happen through the fall, and then in late fall, December, maybe November, the city council actually approves a final budget. So the mayor makes a recommendation today, and the final budget is approved by city council in November or December. Historically, in between those times, there is some sort of hearings as well, opportunities for folks to give public comment. And so those are your chance to weigh in. You also are always encouraged, not just with this, but this is a good opportunity to point it out. Folks are have an opportunity to talk to your council members, to reach out to your council and mayor about anything that you think you'd like to see as it relates to the decisions of the budget itself. So,
yep. This is a real opportunity for people to become a part of the public process. And to offer testimony. Can you tell us how people can find more information on that?
Yeah, honestly, the easiest will be just to Google Minneapolis budget and find the minneapolismn.gov page. There'll probably be a number of news articles as well, but we can try to find a link for you. But this is the process. None of these things are announced yet, but the typical process is these public hearings. There's always a chance to talk to your council members. I always say if there's something that activates folks, that's what we really encourage folks to get involved in and make your voice heard. And so here, the typical process, it'll be on the budget pages on the city's website, but there maybe be a hearing. I like to tell people these are really things that if you've never considered checking out, are worth checking out. This is true of your city council, but it's also true of the parks and the school board. There are regular monthly meetings that those leadership boards get together, and often there is an opportunity to give public comment. Public comment looks like you signing up and then going and sharing on a microphone for usually about 2 minutes, your perspective directly with the leaders that you elected or were elected to represent you. And so that is what it might look like for these hearings. City council meetings, when there is a public hearing, whether it's about the budget or something else, there's room for public comment. Typically are during the day. They happen at City Hall and the council chambers downtown, and you can sign up for public comment there. With some of the budget hearings, they might happen in the evening. They might happen at a different location, but normally there's an opportunity for anybody who's interested in giving feedback on those decisions to sign up for a chance to give public comment.
Yeah, like you mentioned, there's usually multiple ways, written, email, phone calls, those types of things. Is there an opportunity for people to get involved in neighborhoods through this process?
Yeah, it's a really good question. One of the things I really have loved about supporting and being involved in neighborhood organizations is I see them as one of the easiest sort of on-ramps to civic engagement, right? So if the idea of going to talking to a panel of elected officials downtown is intimidating to you, neighborhood organizations are a group of your neighbors that get together and advocate for something that's important to them. So you can look up, I'll provide my contact information, but you can look up your neighborhood organization. You can show up at a meeting and say, hey, I'd like to be involved. I'd like to volunteer. I think, advocating for this in terms of the city budget, or this in terms of our organizational budget, is important to me. And so what can I do to be involved in that? And what'll happen is, what I have found is that neighborhood organizations, the reality is that a group of neighbors getting together and advocating for something usually has more attention by leaders than one individual person raising their voice. And so one of the cool things about organizing work is that when neighbors come together and say, hey, whether it's the mayor, the councilor, or some other elected official, we want you to come and talk to a group of your constituents, they're usually willing to listen and they'll show up. And that's where neighborhood organizations really have a bit of power. Many of our council members and other elected officials got their start in getting involved in a small community-based organization like a neighborhood organization.
Yeah. Do those elected officials, council members, anybody else interact with the neighborhood organizations?
Definitely, yeah. Neighborhood organizations, like I said, are throughout the city, and so we have 13 council members, and each of them, their wards are, generally representing, 5 to, I think 8 neighborhood organizations, and I think it can vary a little bit because some are in 2 different wards.
Right.
But those neighborhood organizations sometimes have council members come and give updates directly, or their council aides. Some neighborhoods, Northeast Minneapolis, I think, have had ward summits. So that's one of the council members hosting a gathering for neighborhood organizations and other, volunteers and community-based folks to come together on some frequency to talk about the work that they're doing and share concerns that are happening in their neighborhoods. So it can really vary quite a bit, but there's often an opportunity to interface with the neighborhood.
I think that is how did I want to say this? If you feel like you're the only one who has this concern or you're not sure where to go, it's a good start to go to your neighborhood organization, because there might be people who one may not have seen it the way you've seen it, or weren't aware of the concern you're bringing forward, or there might already be like-minded people that want to engage in maybe together provide public testimony.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I'll just, I know we're short on time, I'll just say that I love about neighborhood organizing work and all of this community-based work is there are people all over the city who are putting their blood, sweat, and tears, their funds, and their passion behind the work that they're doing. And I love having an opportunity to connect with those folks. So can you drop my phone number? You can call or text me if you have any other questions about what we talked about today.
Thanks, Ariah. It was great information for you to share with us tonight. Thank you.
For sure. Absolutely.
Well, great show, Christine. Excellent. Hey, this has been Native Roots Radio, and this has been Minneapolis Air. What a great show. And you guys can see this on iTunes and all over. If you've missed anything of this great information, hey, this has been Native Roots Radio and with Minneapolis Air, American Indian Relations. We'll see you tomorrow.
Heart health is more than just the physical